Well, hello there and welcome to Travels with Geordie. As you can see, we have returned to the causeway for our winter moorage, so I thought we'd do what seems to be now my annual Walkabout State of the Channel update. Yes, I'm going to walk around for a bit and tell you what we have planned for the next year or so. And as there is no boat content, I at least can offer that there are no ads in this. If you're new to the show, you may not know that we have the fantastic privilege of being able to stay at the Causeway Marina over my shoulder here in downtown Victoria, which is very splendid for 8 months of the year. But they kick you out for the 4 months of summer, so, well, we're forced to go cruising. Not too bad. But anyway, we have just returned from that 4 months of cruising, and to tell you the truth, as I'm naturally a bit of a city boy, I love to get back to town. And the other main thing about returning to Victoria is that we transition back to a boat building show from what we try over the summer to be a bit of a cruising show. And well, I feel terrible about cruising episodes. I never seem to think I'm any good at it. And well, some of you don't either. I mean, I know plenty of you enjoy the cruising episodes, but the truth is most of you don't. And that's turned out to be quite disastrous for the show. And as a good illustration of that, just this last episode, we actually lost 14 Patreons. And well, because we do earn our living and are able to keep the show going through that support, that's significant. If it happened once or twice more, we wouldn't be doing the show anymore. So I do have to accept that it is a business. I have to produce episodes that are entertaining for the largest possible number of people, and that tends not to be the cruising episodes. So I'm very excited that we're going to be able to jump right back into woodworking and boat building episodes, because I know that's our bread and butter. And so then I can recap on last year's Walkabout when I talked about the oncoming projects. Yes, the main thing I talked about was that both boats, Poem and Geordie, both need a haul out, and they need it now quite urgently because both boats also need to be insured, and to be insured, both boats need a survey, and you see where I'm going with that. So didn't get it done this summer, largely because we really couldn't afford it. But now I've sold the Land Rover and we are well refunded in the world of maintaining wooden boats, and both boats will get a survey early next year. And to get to there is a fair amount of work, especially because Geordie, I've kind of let it go, haven't I? So that on top of advancing Poem as well is what we'll be doing over this winter. And because over the winter Geordie is set up as a shop, a lot of the work I'm going to do there will be cabinetry for both boats. Now, if you've been watching along, you saw that I did that work in the forecastle of Poem of Geordie last year, and that turned out really well. That set a theme for the kind of cabinetry I want to do on Geordie, but as well on Poem. And I have to be mindful that when I spend time and money, I want to get the greatest return on improving our life aboard both boats. So that does mean that some of the work we'll do over this winter will actually be for MV Poem. There's tons of cabinetry in there yet to be done. This is the James Bay Inn in Victoria, and it was actually the very first place I ever stayed in Victoria. Many years ago, one very, very cold day in February when I was 15 years old, my mother and I were living in Calgary, and my mother said, hey, let's drive out to the coast for the weekend, just for a little bit of sunshine. And we did. The great thing about that is I had my driver's license, because in Alberta you could get your driver's license at 14. Anyway, I drove most of the way through the Rockies at 15 years old. Fantastic experience. We get out to the coast, we carry on out to Victoria, we stayed in this spot, and we learned very quickly that Canada has at least one place where just about all year round you can have weather much like it is here today. Needless to say, about 2 months later, we moved out here and onto a boat. But back to upcoming work. For years now, the big project has been new cabin sides for MV Geordie, and that does require a substantial amount of very high quality sapele mahogany, which has been difficult to acquire. But I'm going to have another stab at it, and this time next week I'll know if I can procure that locally, and now that I've sold my Land Rover, I can afford it, and if we get that wood in advance, we can get that work done, but not right away. And that's not the sort of work you can do at a marina, at a dock. So jumping ahead a little bit, next summer there will definitely be an extended haul out. Exactly where, I'm not yet sure, and there's also the possibility of some time in a shed. And of course, That would be a privilege beyond words. And during that haul out, I'll be able to carry on with the significant structural work that Geordie still needs. If you've been following along for a while, you remember the massive haul out where I did sistering and reframing all through the middle of the boat. Well, she still needs it in the forward section, in the aft cabin, and in the cockpit. Oh, and an all new transom. So there's plenty of significant work still to be done. And now that we have the funds for it, next summer is going to be quite exciting. Much less cruising, much more sawdust, right? Now, please don't get me wrong. We have an absolutely lovely life, and we're so happy to share it with you all, especially when I can spend a Sunday afternoon with my beautiful fiance at our local pub.